So in the last section, guys, we had a talk about the p-values, right? The probability values. So is this value, p-value, significant or not? That can be calculated by the test of significance, right? So today in this particular session, we will be talking about the test of significance, where it is used. You know, what is the significance of using the test of significance? Basically, it determines if p-value is significant or not. P-value is significant or non-significant. Okay. Now in the p-value, guys, we are talking about the types of in the test of significance. Basically, we are talking about the types of the test of significance, right? We are having generally two types over here. What are the two types? Two types are, one is the parametric type. Qualitative, quantitative are the data types. Basically, this is the parametric type, and another one is the non-parametric. If I will compare, right, I shall probably say that parametric is also called as the quantitative type, and non-parametric is called as the qualitative type, right? In the quantitative category, in the parametric category, we are talking about the normal distribution curve, right? Yes, we have already talked about that, I know, normal distribution curve. And in the qualitative category, in the non-parametric category, we are talking about non-normal, which is not normal, non-normal distribution curve, right? Understood? Now in the normal distribution curve, guys, we are having some test of significance. In the non-normal, we are having some test of significance. But at what point of time we need to decide that this test should be done or that test should be done? That you need to know on the very simple phenomena that I told you in the very first chapter in the data of this biostatistics. That was, you need to find out whether this variable which is given in front of you, is it quantitative data or is it qualitative data? Is it countable data or is it measurable data? If it is countable data, it is the qualitative data. If it is measurable data, then it will be the quantitative data. For example, the blood test over here, the several ranges of the blood test. For example, you are talking about the body weight of the person, you are talking about the height of the person, you are talking about several other things that will be coming in the measurable category, that is the quantitative category. Then you will be using the quantitative test. If they are saying they are comparing the, usually they are comparing the groups, two groups of people. If they are comparing, for an example, the people, right, they are comparing the mothers of two children, right, they are comparing the any kind of data which can be countable, right? How many percent this person was having the AIDS, this person was having the TB, right? So these kind of things they will be considering under the category of qualitative data, right? So once we talked about that, test accordingly we will be choosing. So for an example, we are saying that a single group we are choosing. We are taking the single group of 50 students, let's say, and we are checking the RBS of these 50 students. After that, after checking this RBS of the 50 students, we did the oral glucose tolerance test, OGTT, right? We gave the 75 gram of glucose in the water and we asked them to drink it. They drink it. After some time, after 2 hours, let's say 2 hours postprandial sugar, we checked over there, right? So after that, we came to know the different values of the RBS. Obviously they will be increasing, right? So in a same group of 50 students, we took the RBS, we took the random blood sugar before the glucose tolerance test, and we took the random blood sugar after the tolerance test. After giving the glucose challenge to this same group of the people. This is called as which test? This is RBS. I told you the random blood sugar. Is it countable or is it measurable? Actually, it is measurable, guys. Any kind of blood data, any kind of body checkup data, it is measurable, right? You might be getting it what? You might be getting what value? You might be getting it 125, 225, 280, 107, something like that. This is measurable data. Still, it will be considered under the category of measurable data. It is a quantitative data. So guys, here are we talking about what? We are talking about the quantitative, qualitative, we are talking about the quantitative. So for one group, if I'm talking about single group, there could be single group, there could be two groups, or there could be more than two groups, multiple groups, right? So here I am saying that I shall be writing the single group, right? About single group, what test we shall do for the qualitative side or quantitative side. About the group, two groups, if I am saying, then what could be the test? And about the more than two groups, about more than two groups. If we are saying, guys, if we are saying that talking about single group, right, on the parametric side, that is the quantitative side, then we are talking about the paired t test. Very important, guys. We are talking about the paired, first one, paired t test, paired t test. You know, paired t test, very, very important over here in the single. On the qualitative side, we are talking about the test. Usually the examiners are not very interested in this. Usually the examiners are interested towards the quantitative side, that is the paired t test. Here we are talking about the McNemar's test. Okay, if I am talking about single group, I gave you the example also. I took the RBS or qualitative data, right? They might be saying you in a single group, we check two datas. In a single group, we check two datas. What are these two datas? These two datas, for example, are about comparing about the neural tube defects in 100 mothers, right? So comparing the data in the same 100 mothers only about this particular data. I'm just giving you an example. So in those cases, we shall be seeing that we shall be using the McNemar's test. However, these questions are not very common. They are usually testing you about they usually want to know about the paired t test, right? That is the for the single group. For the two groups, guys, for the two groups, 50% in this group, 50% in that group. They are comparing the data like that, right? Now from the two groups, they might be asking you the qualitative side or quantitative side also. So that's why in the numerical, in the question, you just need to find out whether they are talking about the quantitative data or qualitative data, whether they are talking about the countable data or they are talking about the measurable data. Once you are knowing about that, then you can easily tell whether it could be quantitative test or it could be qualitative test. So first job is to find out whether we should be doing the quantitative test or qualitative test. Then the knowledge will be coming, then your memory power will be coming, that yes, for the quantity test, for the two group they are talking about, I read about this test in the quantitative side, and in the qualitative side I read about this test. In the quantitative side, guys, we are talking about test that is called as the student t test, that is called as the unpaired t test. Paired t test we were talking about in the single group only, right? Why we are talking about paired t test? Because pairs are there in the single group only, paired t test. This is called as the student t test. Second one I am talking about, this is called as the student t test. It is having many names, student t test. It is also called as two samples t test because we are comparing the two groups over here. It is also called as the two samples t test, two samples t test. It is also called as the unpaired, because first one was paired. This is the unpaired t test, unpaired t test. Okay, t I am writing it under quotations. On the other side, if we talk about the non-normal distribution curve, we are talking about the qualitative side, right? They were talking about two groups are there, right? Two groups are there. How many boys are having the, let's say how many boys are having the COVID-19, how many girls are having the COVID-19, or how many boys in this group having COVID-19, how many girls are having this COVID-19 in this group. So it is quantitative. You can count the number of people over there, right? So if this kind of, just giving you an example again, it could be anything like that. If you are able to count that, then do it. Go for the qualitative side. So just the task is, first task, find out whether it is quantitative data given or qualitative data given. Second task, find out how many groups they are talking about in the question. Is it a single group? Is it a two group? Or is it more than two group? More than two group, what could be the example? For example, they are talking about in a population of 100 people, right? So they are not the group now. There are more than two groups over here, right? So that is the thing over here. Usually they are mentioning about a single group, or they are talking about two groups, or they are talking about generally the population. In the population case, you are generally saying that they are talking about more than 2 groups. In the more than 2 groups, then there could be different formula. So once you find out that it is quantitative data, they are talking about the 2 persons, then you can easily find out the answer that it must be student t-test or 2 sample t-test or unpaired t-test. If they are talking about just one group, they are talking about they have checked the sugar over, they have checked the hemoglobin of that particular thing, and after 2 months they have just checked the hemoglobin of that particular person again, or this particular group again, right? So here they are talking about what? They are talking about the 2 groups, and they are talking about the hemoglobin again, that is the quantitative test. So here you will be doing what? Quantitative test. Okay, in the quantitative test you are talking about the t-test, that is the paired t-test. In the 2 groups here, if we are talking about the qualitative data, then it is actually which test? Chi-square test, very popular one, that is the chi-square test, right? Chi-square test. In the chi-square test, it is usually represented by this symbol like that, that is the chi, right? It is a chi-square. Okay, if you are talking about the 2 groups, and if we are talking about the quantitative side, more than 2 groups I am saying, then we are talking about the analysis of variance, that is the ANOVA, analysis analysis of VA for variance, analysis of variation and analysis of variance, actually that is the third one. And if you are talking about the qualitative side, then we are saying that is the Kruskal, Wallis test. Okay, understood? So first task, guys, identify that whether they are talking about the quantitative data or qualitative data. Second task is find out how many groups they are talking about. And once you came to know about these 2 questions, then you can find out on the quantitative side, you need to give your answer as a formula or which test, or on the qualitative side. Usually what test they are asking us? They are very fond of asking the quantitative test. They might be asking you the paired t-test for the single group, student t-test or the unpaired t-test for the 2 groups. On the qualitative side, always they are asking you about the chi-square test very frequently. McNemar test and Kruskal Wallis test are having very low chances of coming in the MCQs, right? Okay guys, and analysis of variance is also important. So quantitative side is very important. For the qualitative side, many of the questions, majority 90% of the questions are coming from the chi-square test. Some few points about the chi-square test, guys. Only one test I would recommend you to remember from the chi-square test. However, if you are remembering all of them, it is very nice, wonderful. But at least just remember, you should remember the chi-square test, right? So chi-square test, guys, if I am talking about the chi-square test here, this is the test of proportion or associations. This is the test of proportion or association, very important. Many times it has been tested in the MCQ. Chi-square test is also talking about, usually they are talking about the positively skewed distributions. Positively skewed distribution. Positively skewed distribution means I showed you the normal distribution curve, right? It is having the bell-shaped Gaussian distribution, symmetrically arranged. What is the negative and the positive skew? I told you positive skew or negative skew, right? Negative skew is like this. This is the positive skew, and right, this is seen for what? This is seen for the chi-square test, right? Here we are seeing that tail is towards the right side, and if I am drawing like this, right? If I am drawing like this, then it is the negatively, right? It is the negative skew. Negative skew, right? This is the negative skew and this is the positive skew. So chi-square test is talking about which skew? They are talking about the positive skew, right? Don't worry, positive and negative skew, I will be talking about that in detail in the separate section, right? So I hope, guys, in this particular session we have talked about the test of significance, and the center of discussion was around that. First of all, you need to identify the quantitative or qualitative data, and accordingly you need to find out that the group which they are talking about, is it single or is it multiple group or is it 2 groups. Then easily you can tell them the test which they are talking about, that is it the paired t-test or is it the unpaired t-test or is it the or is it the variance basically, right? Or is it analysis of variance? On the qualitative side, either is it the chi-square test or not, or any other test, right? So then you can easily answer. So with that was about the test of significance. Thank you for joining in, and I will be seeing you the next one. Thank you.